Hi everyone, welcome back to the Roast and a Ceilings podcast. Today we have a super exciting episode with Sabrina from the Sonder project. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. Hello, my name is Sabrina Welch, and I'm doing a project called the Connection Project or the Saunter Project. And what we focus on is right now, actually, I'm doing a teasing series, which is teasing a later series to come, which is going to be a little bit of a secret for you guys to see it in the summer. But it's mostly involved around meeting with strangers and sharing their stories, and through kind of absurd and different types
Mhm.
of ways in unconventional spaces to foster connection in kind of an unconventional way, especially with
Mhm.
strangers. And also, another intention with the Sonder project is to make sure that we can spread joy and happiness just for fun around the community. We do some other
Mhm.
like cool projects on the side. Like this Christmas season, I made a couple about 125 cookies to hand out to my neighbors, and yeah,
Oh,
it was really fun. It was wonderful to meet everyone as well.
I
But yeah, this is
love that. Like that's so
thank you so
sweet.
much.
And it's so clear that
Thank
you're
you.
like super passionate about it. Like your face lit up when you started talking about connecting with other
Thank
people.
you.
So can we ask
Thank
like
you.
what sparked this? What made you decide like one day did you wake up and just like, huh, we're not connected enough? Like what happened? What pushed you to start the Sonder project?
So when I was younger, I grew up in my grandparents' apartment. Mostly, I didn't go to pre-K. I went to my grandparents' house, and it was, I believe it was public housing. So my parents would be a little bit nervous for me to go outside, so I wouldn't
Mhm.
really get connected with the community a lot. But when I was in the apartment, there was a window, and outside the window, I could see a playground. And when I was a kid, I remember always really wanting to go to the playground, and I'd see all the kids and all the memories being made. And I really wish that that could have been me. And especially with seeing having the privilege of being in a neighborhood now and having my own community in a neighborhood basis, I realized how important it was to
Mhm.
me to be able to have that neighborly connection and be able to have that opportunity
Mhm.
to connect with people. And from being able to experience what it's like to not have as much of a community and to be able to finally be immersed in that community, I realized how much beautiful that was and how much I want to dive into that again and share that with other people.
That's such a
Oh,
good backstory. Like you just had that ready to go. So that clearly like is something that's really important to you. I just want to
Thank
say, Saunders, I was so excited when I saw the name of your project because that's like one of my
thank
favorite words. That's
you.
like one of the coolest
Yeah.
words. So could you explain a little bit to our viewers like what the word means and the significance it holds to the project?
Yeah, of course. So Sonder is kind of an awestruck for the people around you and being very admirable for the perspectives that everyone else has. And kind of the real, as a technical definition, it's the realization that everyone else is living their own lives. But to me, it really meant realizing how there's so many people that have a different perspective than my own
Mm,
that is so exciting to be able to almost be able to hop into for a little bit and see what they have to say about life and experience world in their eyes.
mhm.
that's so beautiful. I love that so much. Oh my gosh. So you said you're releasing teasers for like films surrounding people's lives, right?
Yes, yes.
Also, I'm super curious, how did you settle on film as your creative medium? Was there any like tweaking around? Did you know you wanted to do film?
Mm. I think everyone really is a character in their own lives, and I feel like everyone deserves their own movie. I would love to see I'd love to if there's like a play button on people and you could just like rewind their life or something. But I think that everyone has such a
Mhm.
special story to tell and so much interesting quirks about them. And I believe presenting that through a movie
Mhm.
format, something fluid, something people can enjoy, something people can root for, really shows the diversity of the beautiful people around us. And I thought that film does it the most
Mhm.
justice. And through written articles, I was kind of deciphering whether I was going to do kind of interviews more so or written portions
Mhm.
where people would write about stories and submit types of essays or film. But I really love the medium of film. I always like video editing. I used to have a YouTube channel when I was little. But yeah, it was a little cringy, but hopefully this one will be a little bit more cinematic. But yeah, I really love the artistry that goes behind
Mhm.
filmmaking. So I thought that because people are so multifaceted, the best way to show that is through a multifaceted
Mhm.
media, which is film.
I love that. I don't know if you remember this. I don't know if either of you guys saw this, but I think like 2 years ago there was that TikTok trend that was like me, like if I had like a trailer or something, and it was just people
Oh
highlighting
yeah! Oh my
and
God,
then they
yeah,
show
I
like
saw
clips for
that. That
15
was so
seconds of their
cool.
life. I'm like, that would be sick if everyone just kind of had that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because like, sometimes I get that realization. Sometimes I'm sitting there and I see people passing by. I'm like, oh my God, they have complex lives
Yeah, yeah,
and emotions. And it's
yeah.
such a wild feeling. So I love that you're trying to bring that connectivity. Something really cool that you mentioned earlier was that first of all that you have that connection with your neighbors now. That you bake them things for Christmas. How did you get to that like connection? How did you start becoming so close with the people beside you? Because I know a lot of people, me included, I don't think I've ever talked to my neighbors. So how did you get to that position?
Honestly, just giving it a shot. Before I'd have pretty bad social anxiety. I was a pretty shy kid, which is another reason I really want to challenge myself
Mhm.
and go outside into the world and challenge myself to connect with others, which I love the concept of being able to connect with people. And I thought that a little bit of social anxiety, a little bit of shyness was holding me back. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to overcome that and I'm going to connect beyond my own limitations that I have perceived for myself.
Mhm.
And I haven't talked to many of my neighbors in the past, maybe out of a bad habit that I was a little scared to go out there. But this Christmas, I just bake cookies as kind of a small gesture. I feel like cookies are usually a good opener. Just like everyone loves cookies. And I went door to door to meet some of my neighbors for the first time and just have a little bit of a conversation with them, spread a little bit of holiday cheer, and just try to get to know everyone as best as I could in that small moment, whether it's a big connection or a little connection that it would lead to in the future.
That sounds
Well,
straight out of like a Hallmark movie. Like I'm not even like that, like the Christmas spirit, like the joy. I can see like the snow in the background. Do you guys get snow? We didn't get snow this
oh
winter.
yeah, we get
Really?
pretty
Yeah, I can
very
I
much.
can picture it in my head. I think they should make a movie about this. You are making a movie about this. You are making
Yeah.
about
Mhm.
everyone. Um, but and just like going back to like that kind of film aspect, like
Yeah.
how much work is going into that? Like making these films about people, making these films about connectivity. How much like dedication are you having to put into this project to keep it running?
So, for a couple of things that I've done so far, it definitely is a lot of time commitment, but through this, what I advise everyone to doing a passion project is definitely do something that you love doing because
Mm,
it is so much work, but it will feel like nothing if you love what you're doing. So, I would say I have another organization that I run called Mind Tricks, the Magic of Neuroscience, and we do magic shows for kids that teaches neuroscience content through card tricks. Yeah.
Oh.
But we had a partnership with Estabrook Elementary, so I kind of threw in and launched the Connection Project in with
mhm,
that little part. So I would say that took around maybe a couple hours of planning, and also my other organization takes like hundreds of hours of planning. But I think for the smaller side projects that I would do, the cookies thing took about like a week to just pull off and kind of
mhm,
plan. And the series that I'm planning is definitely probably the most workload of
mhm,
this so far. The teasing series, it takes around 6 hours per little 30-second clip. And just because I like to get it like really color graded.
mhm,
That's kind of why. It's like really cool. I try to think of cool shots to take.
mhm,
For people, the series, which will have episodes of different people, there's that's going into finding strangers. Of course, as much as I want to connect with as many people as possible, I also want to make sure it's a safe experience for both me and the stranger.
mhm,
So I want to make sure that like we're like strangers, but like also they know that I'm like trustworthy and also like kind of in the high school
mhm,
range, just so we're kind of like meeting each other at the same type of
mhm,
level there. And with that, it takes me like a little bit longer to find strangers because of course I don't know them. So I just kind of ask around, be like, oh, do you have friends that you think would be interested to like my friends? That takes around I would say that takes a good chunk of time.
mhm.
And then filming is around 2 hour endeavor after we plan it, after the like quote unquote the series actually the name is a little teaser is gonna be called First Date, but it's not actually a date. It's just to get to know
Oh,
each other.
I like that.
But
Mhm,
when the date is filmed, it takes around maybe 2 hours together.
mhm.
But the filming aspect is usually around like 25 minutes. I cut it down to 25 minutes per episode. And I would say editing maybe takes around 10 hours, 10 to 15 hours per episode. Yeah,
Wow, thank
That's
you for breaking that down for us.
that is
of
so
That's
course.
top
such an
tier.
incredible initiative that you're putting that
You.
much time into your project as well. It's so clear that you love it. And you also mentioned that you have to reach out to strangers, to new people, right? And create
Yeah.
those connections
Mhm,
to further your project. So, and you mentioned that before, that was really difficult to do. It's really difficult to reach out to
mhm.
people, right?
Mhm.
So, I'm curious, what was that first step like for you? How can other people start building those connections if they don't know how to?
I think the first step for me was starting small with giving cookies to people and neighbors. It's only around like a 20-second interaction sometimes. Sometimes I got really lucky. Like they would invite me into their house, they would like show me their kids and stuff, and I'd be like, oh wow, it's so nice to meet your family. But I would say just taking your first leap of faith and
Mm,
putting yourself out there.
mhm,
Starting with something that you kind of have to bring to the table as kind of a peace offering, like to connect. I think sometimes that's pretty good too, where you have something that you can kind of give to them or give them happiness as well as kind of like an introduction. So at least you're not like straight going into just talking. It's kind of you have something to talk about. And you're like, "Hi, I have cookies," or something like that. Or like, "Hi, let's do a board game," or "Let's go somewhere," or something like that. I think that'd be my
mhm.
advice is kind of just going for it and maybe having a plan to do something so you kind of have that to fall back on just in case you're a little bit nervous, like I was.
I love that. That's such like a practical tip for like, our little socially anxious girlies listening in, just to have something to talk about. I think like that's the kind of practical advice we don't see very often, so I love that. I want to talk a little bit about the concept of having like a passion project. Like you mentioned, you have this project, you have your other projects with like the magic shows and everything. I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but I feel like the word passion projects has been like diluted a little bit lately. Because you go on TikTok and you see like, how do you get into every Ivy?
Yeah,
Perfect SAT, have a passion project, have 10 passion
I've seen
projects.
that
So
recently.
people are there going like, oh, I need a passion project. But how do you
Yeah.
actually find something you're passionate about, and how do you actually turn that into a project that you care about?
hmm I would definitely say starting from something that you realize about your life, something that you want to address, something that really is meaningful to you. For my other passion project, or I like to say that's my organization because I like to continue that forever. I
Mhm,
absolutely love the work that I'm doing for this project and the other projects. But I think something that you can sustain, something that you know that you'll be able to be
mhm,
so passionate about making an impact with. And I think that starts with looking at yourself and looking within and seeing what you really care about, what your life has been like, what your experiences have been.
mhm,
Both of the projects that I have decided to embark on are things that I've derived from my own personal experience and things that I want to make better for the future for other people. With the magic show, Mind Tricks, I realized that when I was a kid trying to explore STEM, I really couldn't find many opportunities to
mhm,
indulge in advanced and in-depth STEM resources that were available to a youth and tailored to a
mhm,
youth community. And I always love magic shows, so I decided to embark on that, knowing from driving off of my own experiences, wanting to give
mhm,
future kids and generations the best of both worlds, having that youth community and also having that in-depth advanced STEM content that's often
mhm,
offered at older ages. And then for this project, for the Connection Project, what I derived it from was my personal experience with wanting to connect with people and also realizing that sometimes our society can be a little bit disconnected at times too, especially with
mhm,
America over here. We're a little bit of a hustle mindset, especially in Massachusetts. So I think bringing us all together is definitely
mhm,
something that I want to foster.
mhm.
So I would advise to everyone trying to pursue a passion project is to find what you genuinely are passionate about and derive that from maybe a childhood experience or an experience that you're having right now or seeing something, an issue that you feel strongly towards and trying to do something to address that issue in a way that's personable to you.
I love that, and now you're making me jealous that we're Canadian. We can't attend one of these magic shows because, like,
Oh,
I want to be there
we actually
so
have a
bad.
Canada chapter.
Oh,
Yeah, we have a Canada chapter leader. Her name is Nika.
oh,
She's very sweet.
maybe we
Yeah.
should we should attend this one day. I don't know. I would have loved it if I was a kid, I think. Is that something you're gonna go into in the future? Do you want like neuroscience, that kind of like STEM field?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Neuroscience is that's my baby. I love neuroscience. It's or maybe it's not my baby. I think it definitely encouraged me and it supported me in many ways. So maybe that's like my role model is the brain. I think the brain is so cool in so many ways. I love the brain through connection. I love the brain through all of its intricacies in the medical world, and I just love it as a whole. So yeah, I definitely love to go into neuroscience, especially with pediatrics
That
focus
is so
and
cool.
surgery.
How do you kind
Thank
of
you.
balance that, like the kind of
Mhm.
like passion for STEM as well as like the creative side that you have with like the filmmaking, with the editing, with the color grading? Like, how do you make sure you're not like neglecting either of those sides of you?
I would say just having a genuine and authentic passion. If you love something so much, you will make time for it, and it won't feel draining. It won't overwhelm you because you love it so much. It's like nourishing yourself when you're nourishing your
Mm,
hobbies, or nourishing yourself when you're nourishing your involvement with all these other
mhm,
projects because you're doing something that's making yourself authentically you again. And I think in terms of time management, as a little practical tip again, I would say if you think that you can physically fit it into a schedule, then there's always a way to make it happen. However, with time management, of course, just you got to be really on top of things,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to having lots of hours of commitment.
Hmm.
But if you're committed to it, if you love doing it, it will feel very easy. But you just have to make sure it physically is possible first. And then also, after you decide that it's physically possible, you can fit all these hours into your schedule. You need to think about yourself too and what you can handle and what's good for you mentally, physically, things like that. And just make sure that all of your activities are nourishing who you want to be and what you enjoy.
Oh, I love that. Being authentically you through all your
Hmm.
activities. That's
Yes.
beautiful. And where can we find the Sonder project and your neuroscience project? What are your ads?
My ads, I would love to drop them. Okay. So for the Sonder project, the Connection Project, that is currently on Instagram at the Connection Project, and I think its username might be Sonder Project, but I think the ad is currently the Connection Project. But we have a little square. Our profile picture is a quote from an elementary school student that I did for the Esterbrook Elementary collab. He gave a piece of advice, which is so sweet, and I believe he was like, "Always do your best to like make the world better," something like that, which was so insightful as a little kid and so cute. So I kind of made that the centerpiece of what the Sonder project is. You can also find us on TikTok. I believe we are Connection Project, Sonder Project there. We have the same profile picture for my neuroscience project, Mind Tricks, Magic of Neuroscience. Open a chapter, guys, all around the world. But yeah, we'd love to have you in the Mind Tricks family. But you can find us on Instagram as well. It's at Mind Tricks, the Magic of Neuroscience. You can find us, we used to have a TikTok, but then after the TikTok ban, I got logged out of the account. So
Oh,
I can't find it. Yeah, but you can find our chapter accounts too. Our Hong Kong chapter is super active, which is so incredibly cool. So you can find them at Mindtricks Hong Kong. And then we also have a website. It's a Wix website. If you look up Mindtricks and Magic of Neuroscience online, it should pop up. We have a couple articles about us on Telegram and Gazette, Campus Rebel, and Voyage Bold. So you can find us a little bit more information on those articles too. So yeah, that's where you can find
Gosh,
us.
I had no idea that the profile picture of the Connection project was that. Like, after this, I'm gonna be zooming in and reading
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
awesome.
yeah.
It was so cool to see that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing everything with us today. Both of your projects are the coolest things I've heard in a while.
Thank you
So
so
I'm hoping
much.
our viewers all go check it out too, and maybe attend a few
Yeah.
shows if they're, anywhere near a chapter.
Thank
And
you.
tune into the series coming up, which apparently we're not allowed
In
to.
December, you guys. Put on your bucket list.
Been
Yeah.
a month.